I'll pass on to Jane to finish up our presentation. So Jane Lovell is from the Chemical Use for Export Toolkit project, and she's just going to give us a very quick update on where that project is at the moment.
Good evening. I hope everyone can see the screen. It's that moment where you...
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, so thank you. And thanks, Yemi. I love hearing the story of India. I'm going to weave a little bit of the story of India into the Chemical Use for Export Toolkit project. So first of all, just to recognise that this project was funded by AGVIC. So we thank them for being innovators in this space, and was actually 3 different peak industry bodies working together. So cherry growers, Australian Table Grape Association and Summerfruit, and I came into it sort of maybe May last year. It had been running for a few years before that, so I don't have all of the background on the project, but I have enough to get me through to give you a presentation, hoping that it now... Yeah, okay. So I guess the question is, why was this project put together? And basically, I think it stems from the fact that maximum residue limits, as you would all be aware, vary across the world. So we cannot in Australia assume, if we're looking to export cherries, that abiding by the chemical label here will mean that your fruit meets the MRLs in any particular export market. So this leaves us with a bit of a dilemma, how to make sure that we actually are safe and our product is safe and meets the regulatory requirements in our target market. So how do you go about doing that, safely exporting? Well, the first thing you need to do is know what the MRLs are in the markets that you're targeting. That is easier than it used to be when I first started playing with onion export, where we actually got the Japanese MRLs in Japanese, which didn't really help us because we didn't understand anything that we were reading. But it is something that can be a bit of a challenge for some growers, and we have a solution for you that I'll talk about in a moment. You then need to make a plan for how you're going to manage your agricultural chemical applications, particularly if the MRL in the target market is lower than that of Australia. If it's the other way around, if the MRL in your target export market is higher, then abiding by the label in Australia should see you pretty safe in that export market. And then, as always, people will know me, I've got a food safety and quality assurance background. I'm going to be the one that says back up your management plan with an MRL test against the target market's MRLs, just to make sure that that everything's going to go okay if your product's tested overseas and you are compliant. So the project was basically looking at that and how we could actually enhance the toolkit for potential exporters and exporters from Australia. And so the first thing that the project created, and I hope that you've all got a copy of this, is that piece of information about knowing what the MRLs are in your target market. So this little app, Oz Cherry Sure, and there's the link there. Thoroughly recommend people download that. I've had a bit of a play with it, and you can determine for all the different markets that you might be interested in exporting to, for the chemicals that you might be likely to use, for the bugs that you might be trying to deal with, you can actually work out what the MRLs are. And here's an example, one of my favourites. I started work playing with this chemical, Clartan, for apple dimpling bug in apples. And it's pretty deadly on predatory mites. But the important thing here, focusing on India, if we were wanting to use Clartan and we were looking to export to India, you can see that the maximum residue limit in India is 0.01, whilst in Australia it's 0.05. So this is one of those chemicals where if you use this in Australia according to the label, so by the label rate and by the withholding period, you are likely to fall foul of the MRLs in India, which leaves growers with a real conundrum. If this is the only chemical in your arsenal, then what are you going to do if you really want to target the Indian market? So first takeout is grab this app and you can look up and find out this sort of information. So then if you do have this problem, say we're targeting India and we need to use Clartan, what are we going to do now? So here are some options. Some of them are good options and some of them are not so good options. So the first one, you could think about finding an alternate control method. So is there another chemical you could use? You could say, well, India is just too hard. Sorry, Yemi, fantastic opportunities that you've identified there. Was going to make me insanely rich, but I can't go there because I can't use Clartan. So you could choose to send your fruit somewhere else. You could probably not do this one, export to India and just hope that no one tests it. You risk your brand and you risk the brand Australia, definitely not what we would be recommending. You could have a crack at reducing the rate that's applied. That's not legal in a lot of states. Absolutely don't recommend it. Can lead you to all kinds of trouble with resistance developing. You could have a crack at extending the withholding period. And when I used to play in this space a lot more than I do now, people would say, well, how long? How much longer? Don't know, have a guess. You could use it and you could test the fruit before exporting. Now, the project looked at those options and said, well, maybe there's one there that we could actually do something useful around, and that's the one around looking to extend the withholding period. So that's exactly what the project did. And this document that you can see on the screen is available from a website. I'll give you the information right at the end. So for certain chemicals, and there are caveats all over this, for certain chemicals, it is possible to be able to look to extend the withholding period based on science. I'm not going to go into all the details. We ran webinars on how to do this late last year. It needs to be done professionally, it needs to be done carefully, but there are now a number of chemicals where what we're calling an XWHP, so an extended withholding period, can be calculated, and you can use it with some confidence that you will then meet the MRLs in your destination market. But as I said before, I always recommend you back it up with a residue test. So this is a potential option. Question that I'll just leave with you all. If when you're looking through AusCherry Shore and you're considering markets, if there are chemicals that you think need to have an extended withholding period calculated, there may be the opportunity for CGA to get some assistance to get those extended withholding periods calculated. So please I'm going to name Patrick. Let Patrick know. We might add a page to your manual, Patrick, and make it 53. Okay, so that was the second major outcome of this fantastic project. The third is that we've created some really nice posters and a document, a booklet that actually takes you through and shows you the impact of a number of chemicals on some of the beneficials that you might be wanting to encourage. So those posters are available. They've been tailored for cherries, for grapes, and for summer fruit. I'd love to see one up in everybody's spray sheds. And I'd like you to remember, because we're going to be doing an evaluation of all of this a little later, like June. And I would love you all to be able to answer favourably that you thought it was a great project and you saw the poster. So there's also a booklet that we've created on ways of encouraging beneficials. So the kinds of plants, trees, shrubs that you might want to plant to encourage beneficials. So all part of that integrated pest and disease management. This is an example of something from the booklet. So shows you different plants and what they're good for. And all of that, and I know it's a massive brain dump, but all of that is available on the Horticulture Industry Network's website. It's known as the HIN website. There's the address. If you haven't got, I'm assuming, Jess, that some communication around the outcomes will be, so you'll be able to access that. Every document and every piece of information that I've just referred to is linked out of that website. So if you're interested and want more information, that's where to go. So that is it for me. Thank you.